Broadcasting from the studios of WKEN, where every day it's the weekend. It's the Ken Calvert Show with your host, Ken Calvert.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Casual Studios of WKEN, where every day it's the weekend. Coming up today, I'm featuring an interview I did with the late Davy Jones of the Monkees. I caught up with Davy Jones August 5, 1997. The Monkees were playing Pine Knob the following night. When Davy Jones, a little background here, when he was 14 years old, he rejected a possible acting career in favor of becoming a horse jockey. He dropped out of high school to begin his career in horse racing. In fact, in this interview, he'll bring that up. He was in Cincinnati when I made the call. They had just appeared in Cincinnati. And he went to the track, and he, along with some other jockeys, were riding along full throttle, checking it out, having a ball. Davy Jones' second love was acting, and he was cast and appeared to great acclaim as Artful Dodger in Oliver. He played the role in London and then on Broadway, and did you know that Davy Jones was nominated for a Tony Award? Now, the cool part is coming up. All right? Not that that wasn't cool. Believe me, I do my homework, so that was, if I said it's cool, it's cool. Kidding. On February 9th, 1964, why does that date stick out? You say, why does February 9th, 1964 stick out in your heads? Well, Davy Jones appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show with Georgia Brown, who was playing Nancy in the Broadway production. Now this was, and here's where it gets cool, it was the same show in which the Beatles made their first appearance on Ed Sullivan. Jones said that night, quote, "I watched the Beatles from the side of the stage. I saw the girls going crazy, and I said to myself, this is it. I want a piece of that," end quote. Davy Jones auditioned for the Monkees and was cast as their lead singer. From 1966 to 1971, Jones was a member of the Monkees. The group was formed expressly for a television program with the same name. These producers realized just how successful the Beatles were, and they were trying to recreate an American version of the Beatles. And he was the first Monkee to sign a deal in the studio, but he had to meet producers and go through the whole muster like so many actors have to do. He had to audition. As we know, Jones sang lead vocals on many, many, many Monkees recordings, along with Mickey Dolenz, including I Want to Be Free and, of course, Daydream Believer. Jones is considered one of the great teen idols of all time. Sadly, this past week we learned of the passing of the Monkees' Peter Tork. He was 77 years of age. In 2009, Tork was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer called adenoid cystic carcinoma, which affected his tongue. I saw an interview he did where he described the surgery, and it sounded incredibly invasive. Here's another really interesting backstory that I didn't know that I found out about the Monkees. Stephen Stills had auditioned for the television series, but was turned down because the show's producers felt his teeth and hair would not photograph well. Let me repeat that for you, please. The show's producers felt Stephen Stills' hair and teeth would not photograph well. When asked if he knew of someone with a similar open Nordic look, there you go, Stills suggested Peter Tork. Tork got the job and became one of the four members of the Monkees. Now, you should know this as well. He was 24, so he was the oldest member of the group at the time. Well, of course, he would have remained the oldest member of the group. 6 albums were produced with the original Monkees lineup, 4 of which went to number 1 on the Billboard chart. Now, Tork was the restless monkey, no longer getting the group dynamic he wanted, and he was exhausted from the schedule. Tork bought out the 4 remaining years of his contract for $160,000, which today would be about $1,020,000, leaving him with very little money at all. After 1986, Tork had occasionally toured with his former bandmates and also played with his own bands. He had a couple of them. The Peter Tork Project, and I love this one, Shoe Suede Blues. Get it? In 1991, Tork formed a band called the Dashboard Saints. I don't mind if it rains or freezes as long as I got my plastic Jesus riding on the dashboard of my car. In 2016, Tork actually toured with Dolenz once again as the Monkees. Occasionally, Michael Nesmith would join them at just some of the concerts, not all. Tork had a pretty rough life. He was married 4 times, he had 3 kids, and he passed away this past week at the age of 77, leaving only 2 of the originals left. So let's go back and listen to this very brief interview that I did. I apologize, but I only had about 7 minutes with Davy Jones. Here now is that interview with Davy Jones, August 5th, 1997. Hope you're well, and thanks for listening, everybody. Davy Jones joins me now in town tomorrow night at my beloved Pine Knob. Show starts at 7:30. The Monkees return once again after, 31 years? 31 years doing this, Davy Jones?
Well, it's about that since we've been out on the streets, but I think we got together a little before that. Yeah, It's a long time, innit? And now with the VH1 and Nick at Night and all that stuff, it's all happening.
Well, you sound as if you're back on the road because, if I dare say, you sound like you should sound as a rock star, a little tired and still getting the voice back in order from probably last night's performance. And
Well, actually, we had a day off,
and
yesterday was kind of a relaxing day, and we actually went to the racetrack, local here in Cincinnati is where I'm calling from. And, yeah, it was kind of cool. Saw a couple of old buddies that I'd seen around the country that ride, and... the hardest thing, obviously, it's not the performances. We get into that dead easy because we have a good old time. But it's, as you say, it's the traveling, getting used to the different sort of, you're living out of a suitcase, and you've not got the conveniences of home. But there are many other things that sort of that are there that are not usually there. You know what I mean? It's sort of like tomorrow's laundry day, things like that.
I remember seeing Aerosmith one time, and they actually had brought with them a washer and dryer, placed it at the back of the facility, that facility being Pine Knob, and there were people doing their laundry because that was the one window of opportunity to do it. So, I mean, that really, folks, sometimes the road sounds horribly romantic, but there can be some rigors.
Well, I like me whites white. What can I say?
Biz bag, that's right. Make sure you separate the colors. You were... Go ahead. I was going to say, I want to go back to the racetrack thing. You were a horse jockey.
Well, I did. I used to ride when I was a kid, and then, in fact, last year, to commemorate my 50th birthday, I took out my license. My daughter had bought a couple of horses, and they said to me, well, if you're so hot, why don't you get up and ride it? So I said, well, I will. So I went down and got my jockey's license sorted. I went to the racetrack last year and jumped on it, and out the gate, a mile race, and we won. So I got the bug back, and I've ridden a couple of times since, and hopefully I'll be doing a bit more over the next couple of years, But I love it. I love riding. I love... I just love the animal itself. I think horses it's very therapeutic,
Is it like riding a bicycle? I mean, getting back on?
Well, it took a little more than that.
Yeah.
I actually started working out other than just riding normal morning workouts. I started actually concentrating and focusing probably back in September, and the race I rode in was on February the 1st. So there was a good 4 months of just, running, working out, riding. It's a different thing riding work at home or on a track in the morning with a bunch of other guys just, sort of galloping around than it is in competition. It's over very quickly. A mile race, you'll run in about a minute and 36, 40 seconds, and that's pretty fast stuff. So you've not got too much time for error. And the secret of horse racing is, like a lot of businesses, is the one that makes the least mistakes wins, really, because all the horses are rated about the same. They all have the possible chance of winning, but it's all to do with placement and how you... it's sitting on a thoroughbred is like catching a 10-pound fish on a 2-pound line.
Is it anything like motor car racing? Is there any drafting or getting too close to someone? Or
now you wouldn't think there would be, and I don't think a lot of jocks are into the drafting, but I do find that is very. if you're sitting down on a horse and you're way behind its neck and you've really got yourself sitting pretty, a lot of guys don't start riding until 3-4 furlongs from home, They're sort of halfway standing up and just cruising. Well, that's got to be a bit of a draft. It's got to be a bit of pull on the horse, but they're so powerful, these animals, that, more than drafting, it's placement. If you can sucker yourself into a position, and it does give the horse the momentum to go forward. So, hey, it's a lovely sport, and it's not a sport you have to worry. It's a safe place, the racetrack. And you'll find that wherever gambling is involved, there is a safe place to be, because you don't get any yobs there, you don't get pushed about. And it's a place you can go and have your lunch, and you can sit and watch beautiful animals run. You don't have to go there and gamble your life savings away.
Let's talk about the Monkees in town tomorrow night. Packed with hits, is it? Will we hear them all?
Well, it's very difficult. We have about 30 tunes in the show that we do, because we're on for a couple of hours. And, just trying... We're at this stage after 4 shows. We're at this stage at saying, well, why don't we put this in? Why don't we try this? So the next couple of days I've been with the MD, and we've been going through material. We do Valerie, we do Pleasant Valley, I'm a Believer, Clarksville, Daydream Believer. We do... all the top 10, 20 hits that we had. And by the time we've got through there, there's about 15 tunes there. So the rest of the songs are songs that were more, prominent on our TV show. We've sort of talked to certain people and said, that one was played on the TV show a lot. And with the TV show on the air right now and a lot of young kids looking at it, it gives us an opportunity to go back into the sort of... into these records and find songs that possibly, would be more entertaining than others. So
So
we're still working on it.
So you must see a lot of parents alongside their kids. What a great opportunity to have the entire family come out and see the Monkees.
Yeah, the Monkees bring families together, I know myself, I got 4 daughters, and they're always talking about different things that they're listening to and songs that they're special to them. But funny, the Monkees have still got an audience out there. My little 9-year-old, when she was asked the other day after watching the TV, who is that? She said, that's my other daddy. So she was looking at me, and although we're a little older and a little slower, we're still having a great old time and enjoying playing the old Monkee tunes.
All right, well, listen, break a vocal cord and never a leg, but because you're a jockey as well, look forward to seeing you tomorrow night at Pine Knob. Showtime is 7:30, the Monkees.
Okay, Ken, thanks for the plug, and be safe, everybody out there, and have a great summer.
All right, thanks, Davy Jones. Be well, my friend.
Bye-bye.
Come on back, all right?
I will.
You can subscribe to the Ken Calvert Show podcast on Apple iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, or iHeartRadio. It's also available by going directly to www.thekencalvertshow.com. You can reach Ken at kencalvertpodcast@gmail.com. The preceding program is the property of Ken Calvert and may not be rebroadcast without the written permission of Ken Calvert.